Welcome back to We Talk Boxing, and today I will be doing a brief pre-fight analysis and fight prediction for AJ versus Usyk, which will be the rematch this Saturday. So before I begin, please subscribe, like, comment and share for more boxing related content to help grow this channel. So, both fighters, they have an excellent boxing record currently. AJ, has 24 wins in 26 fights with 22 KOs to his name, only losing twice. Do you know what I mean? And those losses came to Andy Ruiz in 2019 and Usyk in his last bout, which was last year. Usyk, on the other hand, has a perfect professional record, having 19 wins with no losses, with 13 KOs to his name. Now, obviously, when comparing the physical stats of both fighters, it shows, that AJ has majority of the advantages. Do you know what I mean? He has the advantages in height by 3 inches and reach as well by 4 inches compared to Usyk. However, both guys started their professional career in 2013, just after the Olympics. But Usyk is the older man. But it doesn't really mean much, but it's just got to be noted. And AJ as well, is the bigger puncher of the two, having a not a perfect, but pretty much an outstanding KO percentage rate, which is 85%, compared to Usyk's 68% KO rate as well. So, both guys obviously can bang, can punch, but as I said, the power, from, the stats lies with AJ. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, really. Let's see if he can utilize it this time around. So, the fight on Saturday, we'll see both boxers, fight competitively this year. So, it's going to be their first fight this year. And this has mainly been due to, a lot of rescheduling and scheduling, etc., etc. Because, this rematch was meant to have been fought earlier this year, but obviously with Usyk having other commitments with the Ukraine/Russia conflict, that bout was obviously postponed until Usyk was, came out and said, he's ready to fight, he's ready to get back into boxing, sort of thing. And just prior to that, AJ was considering alternative opponents. But, that got scrapped as soon as Usyk said he was ready to get back in the boxing ring. So, recently, there's been plenty of positive news which have been reported, from both camps. Such as Usyk, like, there's been a few headlines stating that he's in great shape and that he's put on, up to 15 kilos of lean tissue, for this rematch, which to me, kind of screams out and suggests that, he wants to have an impact, maybe a little bit more with his punching power. So he's going to try and maybe try and put that, put that extra weight to like into his punches to maybe try and take out AJ, and potentially as well maybe to try and tussle and wrestle with AJ on the inside at times as well, because obviously we're having that a little bit more added weight this time. That may, try and affect how things may take place in the ring as well, with being able to stand and, like, just to have that bit more resilience about himself, with AJ. Because he knows that he can hurt AJ, which he proved, in the latter parts of the first fight. But, if AJ is to come out strong, as most people suggest, that extra 15 kilos potentially will come in handy as well. Now, some news coming out of obviously AJ's camp, throughout this training, it suggested that, he's been stopping plenty of his sparring partners, do you know what I mean? And that is extremely fit and ready for this fight, and he's even lost some weight as well, which to me kind of screams out that, AJ probably felt a little bit too big in the first fight, maybe like he was carrying too much like added bulk, do you know what I mean? Which potentially kind of zapped his stamina in that first fight, which nearly led to him, getting stopped in the latter parts of the round. So, with him losing a little bit of that excess bulk, he might be able to have, like I said, a bit more improved stamina, but may be able to do a little bit more in the rounds as well instead of throwing just the ones and single shots really, because it wasn't really affecting Usyk and he was quite comfortable taking those. But if AJ probably would have thrown a couple more, twos and threes maybe, that maybe would have troubled Usyk a little bit more in that first fight. Now, when looking at both fighters, the caliber of fighters that they've been in the ring with today, it's been excellent to be fair. Like, the majority of Usyk's, fights have pretty much been at cruiserweight. Do you know what I mean? Where he unified all the belts before stepping up to heavyweight. Do you know what I mean? And he also, prior to obviously turning pro and stuff, he had 110 amateur bouts. You know what I mean? Winning 95 and only losing 15. Do you know what I mean? It's awesome, really, and he won some big tournaments along the way as well, like the World Boxing Series as well, where he fought some brilliant names, and obviously he also competed in the 2012 Olympic Games as well, winning heavyweight gold as well. So again, he's got a brilliant pedigree behind him. Whereas, do you know what I mean? AJ, on the other hand, do you know what I mean? He didn't really have that much of an extended amateur career before turning pro. He only had 45 bouts, winning 42 and losing 3. So, you know what I mean? There's a big difference between his amateur career and obviously Usyk's. But he did win, heavyweight Olympic gold at super heavyweight, at the Olympic Games in 2012. So, he too, has got a little pedigree behind him as well. But a majority of his success has come, do you know what I mean, whilst turning pro really. But as I said, both guys have been in the ring with some decent guys, and Usyk, has shared the ring with the likes of Krzysztof Kowalski, Michael Hunter, Marco Huck, Marius Bridis, Marius Gassiev, Tony Bellew, Chaz Weatherspoon, Derek Chisora, and obviously AJ. This will be his second time versus AJ. So he's been in there with some good opponents, but as I stated previously, that majority of those guys were, those fights were fought at cruiserweight. Whilst AJ, he shared the rings with some phenomenal names, and and his resume speaks for itself, really. Such as Dillian White, Charles Martin, Dominic Brazil, Eric Molina, Vladimir Klitschko, Carlos Taka, and Joseph Parker, and Alexander Povetkin, Andy Ruiz twice, Pulev, and now Usyk twice. So his resume, to be honest, it's possibly, the best amongst all the heavyweights out there at the minute in our era. Even better than Tyson Fury's in my eyes. He's just been in there with pretty much everyone. Do you know what I mean? But both guys, it's going to be a good fight. Both guys have some good boxing skills, and everyone knows, obviously, Usyk is the better boxer. Do you know what I mean? And he proved that in the first fight, and he also, showed another side of his arsenal by being able to land some heavy punches on AJ and at times hurt the bigger man, do you know what I mean? Whilst, his work rate as well throughout the whole fight was high, and it was phenomenal, and I think that was probably one of the things that affected AJ quite a lot, really, because, like, yes, he's seen a bit of footage before the fight, but he wasn't expecting it to be as such of a high pace fight. He couldn't match it really, and that high work rate nearly got Usyk the stoppage victory over AJ in the latter part of the rounds as well. But it's Usyk's a phenomenal boxer. Do you know what I mean? But I feel AJ's best hopes is to go back to basics and to be the bigger man in the ring, and sticking it to the smaller fighter and not being scared to match fire with fire. And sometimes what that kind of means is that you might have to gamble at sometimes, in the fight, and be prepared to maybe take 1 or 2 shots coming in. Do you know what I mean? To try and land a couple of his own shots, because at the end of the day, Usyk is just going to be boxing clever, really. He's going to be looking to like hit and move. Do you know what I mean? And soon as AJ comes in, at times he will try, if it's possible, because he's the smaller man, try and tie AJ up so the referee could split it, and then get back on his horse, really, get back on his boxing skills, and, do you know what I mean, box the head off AJ. But for me, AJ has to try and match fire with fire. Like I said, take 1 or 2 shots to try and land his own shots, and leave the ring feeling that he's doing everything that he can to beat Usyk. Do you know what I mean? Because if he loses to Usyk this time round, there would not be another fight. That's it. There would not be a third fight. Guarantee it. Do you know what I mean? So it's getting to that time now, you know what I mean, where I normally give my prediction for the fight. But for me, this is going to be a tough fight to kind of call, really, as I pretty much kind of see it ending in like three ways, really. And that's either an AJ KO, an Usyk points victory, or for me, an Usyk late stoppage. Do you know what I mean? But like Usyk to me is the favourite to win this. You know, I mean, he's beaten the first time. He's the better boxer, better skills, etc. But for me, I want AJ to win it because he's my favourite boxer, heavyweight boxer that is, and obviously I want him to try and come out on top and have bigger fights, hopefully later on down the line as well. So, you know what I mean, I'm gonna say, you know what I mean, I want AJ to win it by knocking him out. I hope he does, but it's gonna be a tough ask. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts about this matchup and who you think's gonna win and by what method, stoppage, KO, points. Do you know what I mean? And who do you consider, you know what I mean, the favourite? Do you know what I mean? But anyway, as always, please like, subscribe, comment, and share for more boxing related content. And hopefully, you'll see me again soon. Bless.